we will be presenting the effects of lower limb prosthetics, specifically the tibia, on the metabolic cost of walking as well as other forces.
In order to develop our understanding and research question, we looked at two studies involving gait, loading, and metabolic cost. The first study saw researchers looking to find a correlation between prosthetic alignment and the subject's gait and ground reaction forces. They found that the reaction forces were higher on intact joints than residual or amputated joints, which could lead to an increased risk of knee osteoarthritis. The second study involved finding a possible correlation between prosthetic weight and metabolic cost. The study found that an increase in prosthetic mass did not alter the energy costs for amputees.
Based on the research done, we decided to examine the question, how would the length of the prosthetic leg affect the forces being exerted on the knee and hip joints, as well as the metabolic cost? For our analysis, we used OpenSim. Here we ran a gait simulation and scaled the length of the tibia to be slightly longer or shorter. In order to run the simulation, the hip flexion was also adjusted. We analyzed the joint forces on the knee and hip, as well as the metabolic cost of walking for each scenario.
From our OpenSim simulations, we found that there was a difference, however slight, in the metabolic cost and the joint reaction forces in the knee and hip for legs that have a prosthetic slightly too large or slightly too small. While the metabolic cost difference is incredibly small at only 17 joules, there was a noticeable difference in between the different prosthetics in the joint reaction forces. This showed that the shorter leg had more weight in the Y direction, the vertical direction, likely because there was more weight being put on it as the model leaned that way.
Based on the results from our graphs from the simulations, the knee and hip joint reaction forces were greater during the short tibia gait, and the metabolic cost had a higher peak for the longer tibia than for the short tibia.